So in Act 2, Scene 2, and the final sort of act of this play, we've got Jean, who's turning into a rhinoceros. Berenger is over there trying to reassert his friendship, right? To reform the friendship. And while he's there, the terrifying occurrence of having Jean turn into a rhinoceros in front of him happens. And then in the third, right, the sort of the final act of this play, we see him back at his apartment with Dudard Norman, right? Coming over, trying to, reassure him that things are okay. Daisy also coming over. Norman leaving and turning into a rhinoceros. And then Daisy also deciding to leave and turn into a rhinoceros as well after, right, they've tried to sort of form a relationship, have a relationship together. And so I think when we were looking at the end of this play, again, Jean turning into a rhinoceros, is curious, right? Because we may indeed look at this again and say, Jean has been the reasonable one. He's been the one that makes sense, that's rational, that is very sober, that's very clear-headed. And Berenger is so in a haze of alcohol, in a haze of sort of emotion, that he seems kind of incapable of making good decisions for himself. And it's a little puzzling to try and figure out exactly maybe what Ionesco is trying to say here, right? Because what we look at is a character in the beginning, Berenger, who is not capable, who is not likable, who is drunk, who is lazy, who is late, and who suddenly becomes what humanity needs in order to sort of, save itself, right? He's the only one who seems capable of saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to stay, right, human. And that Jean is the one that we sort of look at as the ideal. If we want to borrow some terms, right, from Nietzsche, he's kind of the Superman, right? He's the one that, is going to outlive everybody. And then he goes and transforms. And I think what Ionesco is saying is that it is not a matter of intelligence. It's not a matter of being organized and orderly or sober or what you do, as much as the way that you react, right? That plenty of good people, and this is right from Ionesco's point of view, having lived through World War II, seeing what's going on in Romania, he's looking around and saying there's lots of good people who decided to become Nazis. There's lots of good people who decided to become fascists. And there are lots of good people who, even if they decided not to become Nazis or fascists, didn't do anything to stop it from happening. And that this idea that, the person that we are is simply good enough because of who we are, it's not. That what we have to understand is that it is truly our decisions and our responsibilities that make us who we are. This is not an intellectual thing. This is not a health thing. This is clearly, right, only the things that we end up doing that make us who we are and that influence the people around us, right? And I think that's a very important message to sort of pass along. It is a difficult one, though. We look at somebody like a Berenger and we say to ourselves that, right, Berenger, Stanley, we don't know if we like him. And we may even finish the play not knowing whether or not we like him, because even at the end, right, he decides, right, I could become one of them, I'm going to become one of them. And then he tries bellowing, he tries trumpeting, he tries to figure out if he's got a horn. And then it's almost as if he realizes, I can't do it. I'm not the right type of person to become. Fine, I just won't. Then I'll stay myself, right? And again, we're not sure, right? That maybe he's too dumb to become a rhinoceros. But I think, in a way, what we've seen out of Stanley Berenger this entire play is that he is, if nothing else, he is a person who has expressed a distrust of and a dislike of these people, and is not convincing himself that he wants to become this, right? That even if he says, I want to become this, he knows he does not. And he realizes that very early on. He is horrified by seeing the transformation. He does not understand why people would give up their humanity. And when he tries to lie to himself, he's incapable of doing it, right? It's almost acting in bad faith towards himself, and he catches himself in the act and says, I'm not going to do it, right? Why do other people transform? Berenger does not transform. Jean transforms after complaining that people are weak, after seeing that the rhinoceros is strong, after saying that it looks like people would be better off doing it, that people should be able to make their own choices, that it's not so bad to be a rhinoceros, that we can't judge people for doing it. He is wishy-washy. He decides he's not really sure what he believes, and then he suddenly goes with the idea of strength, right? Strength in numbers, strength in the people around him. I'm going to do it, and he says over and over again at the very end, I'm going to trample you, I'm going to trample you down, and it's all about power for him. When Dudard, Norman, comes over, why does he eventually leave? He just decides that he can't be... He sees that he is in danger of, right, being trampled if he doesn't do it himself, right? He needs to transform so he can join everybody else. It's a herd mentality. Daisy seems to be swayed by the song, right, by the sound, and certainly by the fact that Stanley, she doesn't feel is very nice to her, right? He does end up committing an act of physical violence at the end that's sort of repulsive, and that certainly she is not happy about, nor should she be. And is this what pushes her over the edge? It's a good question, right? I think that what pushes her over the edge is just that she finds herself seduced by the song. She finds it ridiculous that Stanley Berenger doesn't seem to have any desire not to change. That, it's just, why doesn't he just do it? He's always been obstinate, and she's going to go and make the decision that, she should have made before. Berenger, on the other hand, has never been comfortable with the rhinoceros from the very beginning. Yes, he's been hazed by alcohol. Yes, he has been hazed by his laziness, by his inability to sort of be able to think through the situation. In a way, it saves him, though, because he is able to perceive it all, let it all wash over him until it comes time to really make a decision. What is Ionesco saying here? Well, let's talk about that in the next video. Again, sort of the thing that I've said already with Berenger, sort of, is this inflection point and making a decision, is that what it is, or is it more that he's just too dumb, and by the time it comes time to transform, he just can't do it, he just doesn't want to? What will we do with that information? Let's talk about it.